they don't know. So as long as they don't know what's going on, people are always going to have their opinions. But as I said before,
and it scanned too.
No, I'm sure it did.
It was a beautiful fake ID.
I'm sure it did. My whole thing is, when it's your birthday, you got to go out. You got to have fun with it. Like I said, I appreciate everybody who wished me a happy birthday. Like I said, I'm not a person that does it often. So to see people actually show up, it was kind of cool. And again, thank you guys. Thank every single last one of you guys. We're actually about to get into some of these scores really quick. Of course, this is our 12 o'clock episode on Sunday, so you guys already know what's going down. In Cleveland, the Browns have a 12-7 lead over Philadelphia. Carson Wentz threw one of the ugliest interceptions I've seen.
Yeah, it was bad.
We'll talk about that later. We're hopefully going to go through them. No, I told you to go back.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. I got to get through these scores. We got to get through these scores. We got to make
okay.
sure we go through them. So the Browns are up right now, 12-7 against Philadelphia in Cleveland. As I said before, Carson Wentz threw an ugly interception. I don't know what the hell the interception was, but again, hopefully we're going to go through some of these morning games and the way that they look. Of course, we have some injuries to get to. We have some blowouts to get to, things like that. Also in New Orleans, the Saints have a 17-9 lead over Atlanta. That game has about 4 minutes to go in the third quarter. Speaking of injuries, that injury that I was speaking of earlier did take place in this next game in Washington. Washington has a 14-9 lead over Cincinnati. That injury that took place does look like it took place to the left leg of the number 1 overall pick, Joe Burrow. Did you get a chance to see that? I know you were on the way here.
I didn't see the injury. I heard that he got carted off.
Yeah,
so that's what but I didn't see it.
He was planning and stepping into a throw, and it looked as if a defensive lineman kind of rolled and wasn't necessarily, of course, looking for. Wasn't even sure that I think Joe got the ball. Wasn't sure if Joe got the ball off. So it didn't look like it was like a hit, even a late hit. It looked like he was out of the play, or thought he was out of the play, and rolled kind of into Joe Burrow's leg. But we'll get back to that after we get through with these morning scores. Carolina has a 17-0 lead over Detroit in Carolina. I did expect Carolina to win this game. I didn't expect it to be a blowout like this. Of course, hopefully, maybe later on we can have a conversation about Matt Patricia and what's going on over there in Detroit. Pittsburgh is looking to remain undefeated right now, and they're just looking good. I mean, it's 17-3 with less than 2 minutes left in the third quarter. And then at the end of the third quarter, Baltimore has a 21-13 lead over a Tennessee Titan team that walked into the building and had tempers flaring almost right away.
Yeah, I saw that.
Is that the last game right there? Houston? Okay, yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, Houston.
So the last game from this morning, we do have the Houston Texans with a 24-17 lead over New England, and they are in Houston, if I recall correctly. Thursday night's game. I'm gonna scroll down to that really quick, just so we can, in case anybody is waiting to hear us today.
That was a pretty good game.
But it was an amazing game on Thursday night. Seattle did come away with a 21-28 win over Arizona. All right, now we can scroll back up and get to it, and now we can start walking through these games. So, are we going that one first?
Yeah, let's go to this one. Let's go to Eagles-Browns. That was a very ugly interception.
Talk to me about it, because we talked about it before, and we've questioned if Carson Wentz is healthy.
Man, that O-line's going to get that man killed.
Okay, but see, now I'm going to get into something that's bigger than that. As much as I would love to say that the offensive line is faulty. Sure, it's faulty. Wasn't the offensive line faulty in New York 3 years ago when Eli was getting beat to hell?
It was.
When you get a Daniel Jones, they address the line. Even though it's still not the greatest line, they've addressed it. Why won't Philly address theirs?
It's mystifying to me. I mean, we just got into the fourth quarter. He's already been sacked 4 times.
That's nothing new.
I was watching this game right before I left the house to get here today. Man, Cleveland was consistently just rushing 3 and getting pressure, and I was just like, Jesus Christ, man.
I mean, but see, is Myles Garrett playing? I was watching Baltimore and Tennessee, and I was watching.
No, I don't think he's playing.
What's the other team? Jeez Louise, think about the other morning game. The Saints. The Saints and Falcons. Okay. So I was watching those two this morning, and I mean, at the end of the day, this is where I'm at with it. Carson Wentz, whether you believe he's the second coming of Tom Brady, Drew Brees, all these other great quarterbacks, things like that, here's the deal. You had a Super Bowl MVP in Nick Foles that you let walk out the door. Because you told yourself, whether you believe it now, you told yourself at one point in time that this was your guy. We've talked about it all the time. Dwayne Haskins is another person that hopefully we can talk about a little bit later when we talk about Washington. Doesn't matter how great of a player that you are. If you're going into a situation that isn't conducive for you, doesn't really matter. So what's the point of saying that Carson Wentz is your guy if you're not going to protect him like one?
Yeah, I mean, no disrespect to his wide receiving core. I know they drafted
Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
Or Reagor.
And that's a good start. But give this man some. Although Miles Sanders is pretty good at running back, I like that.
But even then, you're talking about skill positions on the outside. You're talking about on the numbers. So you're not speaking of running backs. Like, I mean, no offense. I mean, and you said no offense to his receiving core, but Alshon Jeffrey has no catches.
Besides Reagor, it's just not like. Alice Goddard's good. He's good. Like, he's solid, but I mean, like, protect it. Like, if he's, like you said, if he's your guy, get some wideouts. Like, you already got a good running back. Get an O-line. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, yes, has Carson Wentz, been up to his usual self? No. And he's made mistakes. But at the same time, it's hard to do that when you're running for your life and a team can rush.
But at the same time, too, it goes back to what we always say. Playing Monday morning quarterback is the easiest job in the world. You can easily look at these numbers and say, oh, okay, what's going on here? Oh, Carson Wentz only threw the ball 13 times. When you watch these games are not always on Carson Wentz.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's still accurate. He had some nice throws outside the numbers today. You could see, like, the arm strength is still there.
But the thing is with him, like I said, the fact that it comes and goes leads me to believe maybe he's not healthy.
Yeah, I don't think he's healthy. Something's going on. Because this guy is not the same. I do hope they get him some help, though.
Well, I don't know about that much help, but
Oh yeah, because you're a Packers fan.
Not that I hate to say it, but it's not that it affects me too much. I'm not looking at anybody in the NFC East. I'm not, and I don't want to sound like that guy, but I'm not. Let's look at this Washington Cincinnati game for a quick second, only because Joe Burrow, I think it was in the first quarter maybe, but I know it was earlier in the game. Joe Burrow was scrambling and gambling, looking for a touchdown. It seemed like with his feet.
He had some good numbers,
and he got met by Chase Young.
That's something I never want to hear.
And I've said it before, and I've kind of gone on record to make it a point to say it. I said that I didn't care if Justin Fields came out in this draft. I didn't care if Trevor Lawrence came out in this draft. I didn't care if he came out into his draft. Whatever the case may be, I said the year that Chase Young comes out, he will be the best player in the draft. Period. Yeah. I don't care how you slice it. I don't care what you do. I don't care what number in the first round he goes, whether it's first, fourth, 14th, doesn't matter. That hit on Joe Burrow and forced fumble because of that hit. That's the reason why I was saying everything that I was saying.
And Cincinnati this year, man, their old line has been trying to get Burrow killed.
Again, it goes back to setup. We look at, and this is going back to, I guess this is somewhat different from Philadelphia because they do have a ring recently. But you look at Cincinnati and you just look at what Joe Burrow was coming into. What did you have questions about besides everything?
The wide receiving corps are solid.
And then you didn't know if your quarterback was going to be protected. Because it's not like Andy Dalton is a bad quarterback.
No, he's not bad.
So, when Joe Burrow got drafted.
And that's more credit to Joe. I mean, he's been really good this year, especially for a rookie.
And you talked about his numbers today. I mean, he went 22 for 34 for 203 yards and that touchdown through the air before he left the game with that apparent leg injury. Unfortunately, had to be carted off. The thing that's important about that for me was he didn't take any sacks. So Joe was an improviser. Joe knows how to get out of the pocket.
Like I said, man, Joe Burrow, his comparison to me, and it's like a perfect comparison, is Tony Romo. That's, to me, he's Tony Romo. And I mean that in the best possible way. I know a lot of people don't like Tony Romo.
I've never understood that. And I mean, Romo, you can say whatever you want in a big moment and knowing that certain blunders were coming and things like that. Tony Romo has pulled out games that I never thought I would see Tony Romo pull out.
He's a Hall of Famer. I don't want to hear nothing different.
I witnessed Tony Romo on a Monday Night Football game against the Washington football team. What I believe at the time he believed was bruised ribs. And I think he was even like, if you watch the game, he was walking weird, he was breathing weird, and after the game, he even said like it might be worse. And I think that maybe that Tuesday it came out and they said that Tony Romo finished that game with 2 broken ribs and a punctured lung.
That was tough. So when I compare Joe Burrow to Tony Romo,
100%.
I think it's a perfect comparison.
I like
and
that.
not only that, like I mean it in the best possible way. Like Tony Romo, in my opinion, is a Hall of Famer.
I wonder if my dad agrees with you. My dad is actually a Cowboy fan. Speaking of my dad, all right, man. Dad, I'm sorry. We're just gonna go ahead and just jump right into it for you. But my dad told me, what was it, 2 years ago? Maybe last year when the Cowboys were going through what they were going through with Dak Prescott. My dad said with the receiving group that he had in Dallas, and the offensive line and the running game and things like that, and the way that the defense should have been shaping up, he felt like Dak shouldn't have played his cards the way that he played them.
Right.
He felt like, especially if the difference is $2 million, $4 million, less than $10 million, you might win a Super Bowl out of this. So it might balance out. Here's the deal. I told my dad, sure, you guys can win with different people. I told my dad, Cam Newton, I think you guys can win with. I think you guys can win with Andy Dalton. I was naming Teddy Bridgewater. My dad said and I don't know if this was sarcasm, and I'm sure he might tell me now it was, but I'm never going to let this go. My dad looked at me and said, well, I mean, hell, I think we could send Taysom Hill out there and play quarterback.
Is Dalton playing today?
I think, is he?
Yeah, because it says Danucci is inactive.
Is he? Well, I mean, hell, Gilbert could still be playing too. Probably doubt it. But going back to that point that my dad said, I told my dad, I was like, okay, here's the deal. If Taysom Hill is your quarterback, this is my only thing. Are you going to have a starting quarterback where you play similar to Kyler Murray, where you can get away with a game where Kyler Murray throws the ball 19 times, and then you can get away with a game where Kyler Murray throws the ball 12 times? Like, the Niners can do that with Jimmy Garoppolo. Who else can do that? Arizona can do that. Like, not very many teams can do that.
No.
So, with that said, I told my dad, so are you going to hope that Taysom Hill throws the ball like 40 times a game? Because if so, I don't know which Taysom Hill you're going to get. Because I told my dad, with 40 Taysom Hill passes, you got to look at 4 seasons of Taysom Hill tape, like, to get 40 passes.
That's malpractice. If you let Taysom Hill throw the ball 40 times in your offense, you should be fired.
I don't know. See, what if he's your best passing option? Then I don't know. But this is what I've always told my dad.
You're probably going to be gone anyway.
I've told my dad that I think Taysom Hill is a great football player.
Yeah.
I don't know if Taysom Hill is a starting quarterback.
In my opinion, he's not. I mean, he's modern day Tim Tebow.
Who has a better arm, Taysom Hill or Tim Tebow?
I'd say Taysom Hill.
Then I would not say what I was going to say.
I'm sorry. I've seen Tim Tebow play a lot of football. He is just... let's move into this next
Don't
game.
do that. Nah, don't do that. See, now you're not going to get on Timmy like that. But anyway, you talking about let's get into the next game, so let's just jump right into it. Carolina and Detroit. This was a game that I think I had Carolina going in. Teddy Bridgewater is actually injured. So Teddy Bridgewater is not playing. PJ Walker is. So PJ Walker and Matt Rule go back to Temple, if I recall correctly. I don't want to say that they maybe found something here.
He's been pretty good, PJ, in some limited minutes this year.
And not only in the NFL, in the XFL as well.
See, I didn't see that he was in the X, so I don't know, but
PJ can play. So here's the deal. I would love to say that PJ and, of course, Teddy Bridgewater is looking like their quarterback, of course. Nobody has said anything different. But I would love to say PJ Walker and Matt Rule came together today, and they're having a moment, especially with PJ Walker, 24 for 33, 200 and 58? 58 yards, a touchdown. He does have 2 interceptions. However, let's swing the story to the other side. And let's talk about Detroit. As a Green Bay Packer fan, I'm going to say this, and I've said it like 3 times, and I'm going to say it one more time. Only get Matthew Stafford out of Detroit.
Free Matt Stafford. And honestly, the best place for Matt Stafford like, not best place, but I would say best fit, is probably Chicago.
I don't want to be that guy because it seems like I really just have a beef against this guy. You put Matthew Stafford with Indianapolis right now.
Yeah.
And I understand that they're 6-3, but I look at Matthew Stafford.
They're the best team. They'll be the second best team in the AFC.
I look at Matthew Stafford with the Indianapolis Colts a couple of years ago with Andrew Luck there. And I was looking at it like, hell, I think Matthew Stafford does better than Andrew. And that's kind of where I was with it. So we look at this offense. They haven't had a running game in quite some time. Of course, Kerryon Johnson had showed highlights last year. And, of course, you get DeAndre Swift this year and things like that. And I don't even believe he's playing today.
Right, no.
And the offense, it seems like you've never really had too much of a question, only because Matthew Stafford was there. You trusted the fact that the quarterback was going to do his quarterback things.
You know how bad as a franchise you got to be? Not only for Barry Sanders, but Calvin Johnson, like 20 years later, would be like, you know, man, I'm pretty good, actually. Like, I'm doing all right. Y'all be good, though.
Not only that, did you know that Calvin Johnson wanted to play with the Packers?
That I did not know. That would be Aaron Rodgers and Calvin Johnson. That's unfair.
Calvin Johnson, I might have been on a podcast. Calvin Johnson came out recently and said that every time they played, he said anytime him and Aaron would cross paths, Aaron would tell him, you know you're supposed to be over here.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, it's not, because it didn't happen. Remember, what did I tell you last week?
What did Calvin say back?
He laughed. He said, but during the podcast, he said it. He said, like, in that moment, he was like, like, I want to play with him. Like, if you telling me one of the greatest quarterbacks of my time wants me, absolutely. Do what you got to do to get me there. But, I mean, of course, they wasn't going to let that happen anyway.
No, not in the division, nah.
That ain't no way in hell that was going to happen. But I do think it's interesting just to kind of talk about, as much as we were talking about this Detroit offense and Matthew Stafford and things of that nature, they go out and they get Matt Patricia.
I'll tell you one thing, though. Matt Patricia, Bill Belichick, for the most part, Brian Flores has proven to be the exception. When he lets guys go, coaches, he lets guys go. He's like, you know what? I got the most out of you. I see the writing on the wall.
I'm going to be honest, man. This is where we can get back into Matt Patricia in a second, but I think Josh McDaniels is going to be okay when he goes somewhere else. I do. I think, as weird as it may sound, when he first left, and I think he went to Denver, first thing that went through my mind was he has to fully commit. Goes back to what we said about Marcus Arroyo. And if you guys are wondering where our UNLV football talk, UNLV football's game this weekend was canceled against Colorado State due to COVID.
Was it postponed or canceled?
Canceled last time I checked. I didn't hear postponed.
So they're only going to play 7 games.
Probably.
Probably not win a single one.
For what it's worth, do you realize that Penn State is winless? I think they're 0-5. I just want to bring that up. But let's get back to the topic at hand. You mentioned Brian Flores. I think Josh McDaniels is going to be okay. But when I mentioned liking him to Marcus Arroyo, I feel like Josh McDaniels is going to be okay once he fully commits. Once he fully commits to a decision. And what that means is Mike Tomlin-esque. This is what I did. This is my decision. If we lose behind it, it's because I made that decision. If we win behind it, it's because I made the decision. You could literally see Josh McDaniels second-guessing himself in the moments. So that's what I don't want to take away. Or that's what I don't want to get too far off on. But this Matt Patricia, I really want to know if he believes the things that he says. Because he said one thing a couple of weeks ago, and everybody on Twitter was just like, what? He said when he got here, there was a lot of work to do. No, it wasn't.
Really wasn't. And, if
Jim Caldwell had that team at 8 or 7 wins every year.
And even if there was a lot of work to do, he might
as well do it.
Is he taking a break? He took a little extra 15?
Took a little hiatus or something. What I will tell you is this 4-8 record, or what is that? 4-6 record, possibly 4-7, especially with his
they're
being
4-5 right now.
Or 4-5 record, with less than 6 minutes to go, and you're still scoreless at this present moment. I'm not quite sure what happens with Matt Patricia, but now it seems like every week we come in here, and not that we're telling these people that they don't deserve a job, because these people are well taken care of. They will be fine. They will land on their feet, God willing. Matthew Stafford and Adam Gase have become a conversation every single week.
We had Bill O'Brien for the longest, and what was that, 4 weeks in?
Oh, you mean Matt Patricia and Adam Gase?
Who did I just say?
Stafford?
I said Matthew Stafford?
Yeah.
Pardon me. Matt Patricia and Adam Gase. It becomes a conversation every single week, and it seems like the conversation is more so a question. When?
All I'll say is this. The fact that Adam Gase is no longer coaching my favorite football team is enough to make 2020 or 2019, I should say, when they changed a lot
Coaches.
better.
It made
I
it
think
a lot
that was
better.
what lifted me out of my depression.
Adam Gase being gone?
Yeah, him being fired.
I wonder how the Jets feel now. Going back to this game, 17-3 in the fourth quarter. Pittsburgh does have the ball. Looking for a chance to add to this lead. Pittsburgh, man.
Listen, Bathroom Ben has been good this year. They got Claypool. Still, they got Juju, James Conner. The defense is really good. They got Minka. I mean, that's a very complete team.
You said everything and you didn't mention where I was going.
Where were you going? Mike Tomlin? Mike Tomlin's a great coach.
Absolutely.
Mike Tomlin's a great coach.
Remember when they said they should fire him last year?
He took that team, which offensively
Fair.
might be one. I mean, we already know how bad they were offensive, but he turned that defense. I mean, Minka was a monster last year.
Yes, absolutely.
Minka was a monster,
Absolutely.
and then the fact that like Mike Tomlin did so well, like even getting those guys to, I think they went 8-8, 9-7 or whatever it was.
8-8.
With that roster, that's very impressive.
Do you realize that Mike Tomlin has never had a losing season? Do you know how hard that is in the NFL?
And he's been the coach like since when? 2006. Since Bill.
Right
Cowher?
after Bill Cowher.
So that was a long time. 2006, 2007.
Whether that's I don't want to say younger than that. I want to say 05.
05, 06, something like that.
That year that they went to the Super Bowl
Against Seattle.
against Seattle, that Sean Alexander Seattle team, that was Bill Cowher. Was that 05, 04?
Let me look that up.
Please look that up because whatever Baltimore won a title that year or around there too. You let me know. That was in 06.
2006.
So you're absolutely right.
Okay.
So that was in 2006. So you look at somebody like Mike Tomlin, and I quoted him last week. My dad tells me all the time, of course, you can be
2007.
down 2007.
13 years, never had a losing record.
That overall record is 148, 81, and 1. In the regular season, he has a win percentage of 653. I just wanted to bring that up. I just wanted to bring that up. For instance, it goes back to what we've said before. We mentioned the Cowboys earlier. If Mike Tomlin was available, if the Pittsburgh Steelers would have done the unthinkable and actually let go of Mike Tomlin following last season, I think multiple head coaches would be let go. If that was the case.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I don't want to talk about Mike McCarthy because I know you like him because he got the Packers Super Bowl, so I'm not going to talk about him. But let's just say Mike Tomlin would be a significant upgrade to Mike McCarthy. That's all I'm going to say. We can move on.
I very rarely let people speak for me. And all I'm going to say is I am very appreciative of Mike McCarthy bringing me my only title that I have seen my Green Bay Packers win. However, similar to what I said about Mike Scioscia and the Angels, it's kind of like a relationship. When you know it's like, we're not going to end up together. But the longer we go, this is going to end badly. Like, now it's going to end, like, in a bitter divorce. Like, this is going to be ugly.
If you were going to fire Jason Garrett, I mean, I don't...
All right, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. All right, now I'm defending the hell out of Mike McCarthy. He's better than Jason Garrett.
At coaching football?
All right. Baltimore has a 21-16 lead over Tennessee with under 8 minutes to go in that game. And lastly, we can end on the Baltimore game. But lastly, this other game, this Houston and New England game, is 24-20. Things are getting tight in this fourth quarter. I didn't expect Cam Newton to go anywhere, but Cam Newton and Deshaun Watson are literally battling it out right now in Houston. Cam Newton is, 19 for 28, 261 yards, and a touchdown. Deshaun Watson on the other side is, 26 for 34. My eyes are terrible.
Yeah, 26, 34, 320 yards.
And 0 interceptions. 0 interceptions for both sides. This is what I will say really quick. It was dope for me to see Sunday Night Football last week. And I was like, oh, man, Baltimore, New England. Like, I'm about to be back in my feels. I kick my feet up, and I'm watching the game, and it goes to its first commercial break. And, of course, they show you the two quarterbacks. And I look at Lamar Jackson, and I look at Cam Newton, and I say, wait a minute, hold on. I don't think people are really taking into account that we are watching Sunday Night Football with two historic franchises like the Baltimore Ravens and the New England Patriots. And the two leaders of the team look like Lamar Jackson and Cam Newton. I don't think I've smiled that hard in recent memory about football.
Yeah, man, that was a pretty solid game.
It was an amazing game. And this is where I wanted to get back to you and tell you, Cam didn't play the way that he's playing now in terms of throwing the ball. We're not watching this game, so we don't know if it's a lot of dump offs or what it is. But when you go back and you watch that game, remember how when the season started?
He had that phenomenal game against Seattle.
Remember when the season started and I told you guys, I didn't think he was going to beat Seattle. I told you guys I did think he was going to beat KC. And KC played horribly that first half. Going back to the start of the season, I told everybody, Alex is my witness for sure, when it came to Cam Newton, Cam was going to have a signature win this season. At least one. A game where he comes in and he plays well and people don't expect him to win. As much as I want to say that last week's game was that, because they beat the Baltimore Ravens, if Cam Newton pulls out this come-from-behind win against Houston today, this might be his signature win.
Yeah, because, I mean, his numbers are really good tonight. I mean, today, I should say.
And let's get Sony Michel back healthy. And I know we just, we don't talk about it.
Sony Michel's a really
That is a great running back.
Very, very good.
So we're just going to wait off on that one. But you pulled up something.
Taysom Hill is playing fairly well, we'll say that. 17 for 22, 224 yards, no TDs, no picks, no fumbles. So he hasn't turned the ball over.
Pause right there. Do not move. When I was watching the game, I believe it was gearing up towards halftime, and they said that Michael Thomas had no catches. I just want to give you guys an update really quick. Michael Thomas has 9 catches for 104 yards on 12 targets. So I don't know if they've been doing a lot of jailbreak screens. I don't know if they've been doing a lot of what they've been doing to get the ball to Michael Thomas. But this is interesting for me, and this is where I'm off the train. You have Drew Brees.
Yeah.
Drew Brees. I'm going to ask you a rhetorical question. Drew Brees is a better quarterback than Taysom Hill today, correct?
I would say so, yes.
I would surely hope you would still say that. Now, even with Drew Brees on the field, if he gets the ball to Mike Thomas, that's one thing.
Right.
Other than that, I think when you look at the Saints play, it's pretty easy to say, whether you're right or wrong or something different, it's pretty easy to say Alvin Kamara is the best football player on this team.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Why does Alvin Kamara have 11 carries for 38 yards when you don't have your starting quarterback? This is going to piss me off because Sean Payton does a lot of complaining about things that don't go his way. Controlling his touches, that goes your way. Granted, you have a 24-9 lead, but you are playing the Falcons. If you are not playing a team that's 3-6, I don't know what this score looks like.
Alvin Kamara, so we're looking at his stats right now. He's projected right now to have 185 rushing attempts this year. Alvin Kamara should be at 200 minimum. He should be getting 200 carries a year, if not more. I mean, this guy, although I will say he is on pace for 119 receptions and 1,100 yards.
Receiving yards. That's what I'm saying. You use him so much. Go back to the stats today. Does he have, what does it look like for today in terms of receptions?
0 catches.
My point exactly.
Only 1 target.
My point exactly. So, again, great, because you have a lead. You have a 24-9 lead. Who's going to argue with that?
Oh, okay, now he has 12 for 50. So back over 4 yards a carry. But
So, my thing still remains, cool. Nobody's going to say much about this game, right? But we're talking about the Falcons here.
right.
I don't know that Alvin Kamara shouldn't be running all over the Falcons here.
He should get 20. I don't know if the Saints front office or coaches think he's too dainty to be a 20 carry. You know, a game.
What's dainty about a person who carries a Hummer as a workout?
That's what I'm saying. Like, because if not, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, okay, I get it. You use him a lot in the passing game. You need to start giving this man 20 carries a game. Let him get 90 to 100 yards. Let him eat up clock and have, you know.
And this is clearly our football hour. So at the start of our 1 o'clock hour, we will talk some NBA. We will be able to go ahead and switch this conversation a little bit. I don't think we're going to get to combat sports today either. We do have some mixed martial arts to get to. I want to go back and watch the fight again. But just shout out to UFC 25, shout out to Dana White, shout out to the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, you know. But let's go back to the scores really quick. Go back to all the scores. This is the second tab. And we can run through these scores really quick right before 12:48. With under 8 minutes to go in regulation, Cleveland does have a 19-10 lead over Philadelphia in Cleveland, and they have the ball at Philadelphia's 37-yard line. I already told you guys about the score in New Orleans, 24-9. That is the Saints over the Falcons. The lead has been extended down in Washington, 20-9 over Cincinnati. That game has 6:18 to go in regulation. We're a little bit under 3 minutes left in Carolina. Carolina still has a commanding lead over Detroit. It's 20-0. Speaking of 20 points, the Pittsburgh Steelers have put up 20 points on the board while holding Jacksonville to only 3. That game is in the fourth quarter as well. Baltimore is trying to cling on to this 21-16 lead as Tennessee has the ball. They are at Baltimore's 6-yard line.
Oh.
What just happened? Okay.
He got sacked and he fumbled, but they recovered.
Okay.
Now Tennessee is at Baltimore's 14-yard line, 3rd and 10.
So you just heard it from the fishes, from the Dolphins' mouth. I should say that. You just heard it from the fish's mouth.
Yeah.
Ryan Tannehill was sacked, and it looks like it's a loss of 8 yards currently. Are they going into third down? That was the second that they were looking at before. I think now it's a 3rd and 10.
Third and 10.
About 3 minutes to go in that game. We'll see what happens there. Cam Newton and New England did just get the ball back. Down 7 with 4 minutes to go. We'll see if Cam Newton has another game-tying drive in him. Yeah, man. I don't really want to talk about these 1 o'clock games yet. We'll get into that when it starts up. Now about this Baltimore-Tennessee game. That's the one game I think that I have not talked about, have not touched on yet. Oh, my gosh. For the longest, people were saying that Baltimore seems like they can beat anybody, essentially, except for Kansas City. That's the one team that they run into problems with.
Right.
Of course, a team like Tennessee today, they have a chance to overtake Baltimore in the AFC standings with a win today. Not very often are you going to get that in these instances. With that said, how many people are giving Lamar Jackson the James Harden treatment? He's going to be what he's going to be in the regular season. We're going to play him completely different come playoff time.
So, I mean, obviously this season he isn't having quite the season he did last year.
Right.
And a lot of people are saying, the league figured him out. I don't agree with that just because of two things.
He's a video game.
First thing, he's still having a very good season. Not up to last season, but still a very good season. Second of all, they didn't necessarily figure him out. It's just a counter. He's talented enough to where he's gonna come back next year or even later this year.
AJ Brown.
Oh my God, man.
If you're watching this Facebook Live, again, this is our trial run. This is our test run. We're seeing how this goes. But A.J. Brown just single-handedly carried the Baltimore defense into the end zone with him.
He broke like 3 look at this.
First of all, that was a short...
1.
All right.
Let's see. 2.
2, 3, 4. He carried the fourth one. All right. Anyway, back to your point. Lamar Jackson.
He's going to counter it whether later this season or next year with something even better. This happens early on in QB's careers. I mean, we saw with Matt Ryan in his second season.
Absolutely.
He had a very poor second season, and it wasn't because he was bad. It's just because teams figure you out a little bit, but then you come back the next year and, Matt Ryan.
But here's the thing, and I'm going to let you finish your point. I just want to, let me go ahead and open this door. If you are watching on Facebook Live, yes, that is Alex in the building. Alex just walked in. What's going on, lady? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
I'm pretty good. I see a Raiders sweatshirt.
I got my Raiders sweatshirt.
You can't go wrong with that one. Unfortunately, don't be mad at me. I did pick KC tonight.
Oh, I'm
Is that
not
the Sunday
mad.
night game?
Yes.
Big game.
I am at home lit tonight watching this.
It's a big game.
But we were actually just in the middle of a conversation about Lamar Jackson. And we were talking, and the question that I had was, how many teams are going to be in a position the way that Tennessee is in today? Both teams are 6-3. If Tennessee gets this win, they clearly move ahead of Baltimore in terms of the AFC standings. However, not very many teams are going to have this opportunity to cross or to beat Baltimore and leapfrog them in the standings. Because of that, I asked Salim a question that literally just popped up in my head right now. How much do you believe that teams are giving Lamar Jackson the James Harden treatment? Let him do what he does during the regular season. He's going to see a completely different defense come the postseason. What do you think?
I think that seems pretty accurate. It's a little challenging comparing the NBA and
Of course.
football, but what'd Salim say?
Oh, no. My point is that, even though Lamar's not having the season he did last year, he's still having a very good season. I mean, also, I think it's going to be just like Harden, the fact that, he's still going to be really good in the playoffs, but just not
What he was.
What he
in the regular
was.
season.
And, people are exaggerate all the time, and, they talk about how bad James Harden is in the playoffs, and that's dumb because he's not.
Right.
But I digress. In this game, actually, Tennessee just got the 2-point conversion. It's now 24-21 with 2:18 left, and they will be kicking off to Baltimore.
And speaking of other things that just happened, Eric Ebron just reeled in a 20-yard touchdown. So Pittsburgh will most definitely be moving on to 10-0. They have a 27-3 lead over Jacksonville. One of the things that Salim actually just said, Salim mentioned that tendencies. You mentioned Matt Ryan's second year. And then you mentioned, of course, the development and things of that nature, things that he's changed since then. That's where I kind of want to go with it. Is it possible that they haven't figured out Lamar Jackson? But Lamar Jackson is, 22 years old? There's a certain set of tendencies that he has. Those tendencies are going to change based on what he sees later on in his career.
And just think about how much he got better from his rookie season to the second season and now the third. I mean,
that pass was insane.
Yeah, little sidearm. Oh, he almost fumbled that.
And I don't know if you guys remember, but I think Tony Romo was one of the people for sure that mastered the sidearm for me. Tony Romo was an innovator like that for me in terms of those passes. But
and now we know who's the sidearm king, but
do we have to talk about Patrick Mahomes?
No, we don't.
Okay, let's not. Let's not do it then.
He's the best quarterback in football. We don't got to talk about that.
And I'm still a Packer fan, and I'm going to argue with you forever. So that's just me. We can do this all day. But
there's a difference between best and who I'd rather have. And I'd rather have. But like I said, Aaron Rodgers is my GOAT all time. So I'm,
Who's going to argue there? Probably a lot of people.
Brady. Don't.
We're not talking about who had the most success, the most riches. We're not talking about that. You give Bill Belichick Aaron Rodgers, and I think the NFL absolutely hates that duo worse than Brady. But anyway, speaking of Brady, speaking of Belichick, Alex, you can give her your mic real quick, Celine, because I want to bother her really quick.
Oh, great. I just walked in and...
And you're about to get it right away. Because didn't we have a good talk before the season started? And I told you that Cam Newton was going to have at least one signature win this year.
Yes. Absolutely.
I didn't anticipate it being against Seattle early in the year. I did anticipate it being Kansas City early in the year. Neither one of those happened. Last weekend, Sunday Night Football, in the rain. Cam Newton leads, even though he didn't do it with his arm, he leads New England to a win over Baltimore on Sunday Night Football. What was your takeaway from that?
Kind of like you said, I kind of thought it would happen earlier in the season, but definitely knew it was going to. So, I don't know. I mean, it still worries me that he's not in there for the long haul with them, but keeps trying to prove that he should be.
That's an entirely different question, because now that you've actually and those headphones might be bad. If you need to swap them, let me know. Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Here,
that's okay.
take them. No, you're fine, because those were the other ones that I had before. So I'm happy that you said that, because now that you said that, how do you feel his stock has either risen or dropped because of the way that he's played this season?
Ooh.
Who are we talking about?
Cam Newton.
Cam Newton?
I have an opinion, but I want to hold off, I think.
I'm going to hold off on talking about it until the season's over, because Cam Newton's numbers are, so far a season, are bad.
Absolutely.
However, he did have coronavirus. So I'm going to wait till the season's
We also,
over.
as much as people are talking about Cam's injuries and things like that, it's not that I think Cam can't play anymore, but Cam hasn't played in so long. So I wonder how much people are going to look at this like, oh, see, he can't play anymore. No. Sometimes I've watched quarterbacks go through a year's worth of injuries. And let's look at Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is a great quarterback, right? Goes through a year's worth of injuries, comes back the following season, probably doesn't get it together till game 10, game 11 of the year. Like, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Not to mention, COVID kept OTAs from happening, kept preseason games from happening, things of that nature. So, unfortunately, I would believe that the answer is that Cam Newton's stock has dropped.
Yes.
Unfortunately. And
But, like I
As of
said,
right now, yeah.
let's wait till let's look back at this game. So he's 24 for 36, 306 yards, and 1 touchdown pass.
can you do me a favor and click on Cam's name and see if that's his first 300 passing yard game of the season?
No, he had one against Seattle, I believe.
Did he?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So there we go. So is that 2 of them? You might have to go to the game log.
Did you pick either side of this game?
Yeah, he
Oh,
had-
I have it.
He had 397 against Seattle.
Good Lord, Cam. All right. So the picks that I have for this week, I do have my picks in hand. I took New England. So yeah. So what do I have this week? I have Seattle, oh jeez, Louise. I got Seattle. I have Philadelphia. I have New Orleans, Washington, Carolina, Pittsburgh, Green Bay, Baltimore, New England, Miami, the Chargers, the Vikings, the Chiefs, and the Rams. So you guys let me know. But we're almost done with this first hour. Again, if you guys are just tuning in, if you guys are watching this Facebook Live, this is what we're gonna do once we get everything up and added at the
Brian.
Westgate.
That's Bryant.
He just caught one.
Yeah, 13, 14-yard little screen pass right here.
Shout out to Dez B. But if you guys are watching this Instagram or this Facebook Live, this is typically what our show is going to be now. We're going to do it. This first live is a tester. So if you're watching it right now, I'm sure you see all types of the movements and things like that. But this is what we're hoping to work the kinks out on. We're not going to be in this studio, so you don't have to worry about this setting. But I told Celine that we were going to do football talk this first time around. And then we'll go ahead and get into some basketball talk. So you're here at the perfect time for some basketball talk.
First, I missed
Yes.
the first half hour. Was it kind of podcast?
Not really. We briefly
55
did the
minutes.
we briefly did the birthday thing. That's
Okay,
what we
that's
did.
what I was
So-
going to ask. Happy belated birthday.
Thank
How
you.
was it?
Thank you. It was like I told Salim, I never talk mess about Saki again. That's where I'm at with it. So, yeah. I don't know. you could think that you drink all you want, and then especially getting something that tastes like a flavored sake, I was like, bro, what is this? And then 6 or 7 shots later, I was playing pool, and me and Celine looked at each other, and I was like, bro, I'm hot. Like, I don't know about you,
But it's burning up
Yeah.
in this pool hall right now.
I had to leave a little early, but like I saw the writing on the wall for Terrell.
Well, it is what it is. Hopefully I didn't write all over my wall at the house. But what was I gonna say? Thank you again. I appreciate it. It was like I tell Salim all the time, and I mean I know you know, I'm real big on everybody else's birthday. When it comes to mine, if y'all let me sit in the house, I will. So I appreciate everybody that was able to show up and everybody who wished me happy birthday again. Much appreciated. Trust me, guys. Let's get into some trades. A lot of stuff happened in the NBA. I will say it's good to see teams that you don't expect to be buyers during the offseason let you know where their mind is. And I think it was dope that we looked at each other in this room and we talked to each other for so long and was like, the Suns really went down to the bubble and went undefeated and didn't make it. And we kind of laughed and was like, what happens if it's a full season left? Does Devin Booker drag Phoenix to the 8th seed, like kicking and screaming? And when I seen Chris Paul got traded, the very first thing in my mind was the Lakers didn't play. Like, the Lakers wasn't playing, or I was like, Miami went and saw their guy. To see Phoenix pull off that trade, I need somebody else's opinion right now, because I'm not sure what I thought. Slim, you got one? Unless you got
I mean, I like the trade. I like the trade for Phoenix. I mean, they haven't been to the playoffs in 10 years. Since I'm 23, they haven't been to the playoffs since I was 13.
All right.
That's kind of weird to think about.
So nobody's going to say it. So I'm going to have to be the one to say it.
What do you?
I'm going to have to be the one to say it.
I mean,
Why is everybody saying that this is a top 4 team in the West?
oh, I mean, that's dumb. I don't think they're a top 4 team in the West.
Is this a top 5 team in the West?
No, I think they're the 8th seed. The
Are you
7th seed.
sure that they're even an 8 seed?
Yeah, I'm pretty positive.
You're pretty positive.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let me go ahead and name 8 teams real quick. The Lakers,
Lakers,
the Clippers, Dallas. Are you serious? Why did you
Dallas.
hesitate with Dallas?
Kristaps is going to miss a lot of this. I don't think they're going to be
I don't
the
give
3rd
a
seed.
I don't care.
I don't think they're going to be the 3rd seed.
Oh, no, I'm just naming 8 teams.
Oh, okay.
I'm naming 8 teams.
Yeah, they're going to make the playoffs.
Golden State. Wow. Utah,
Utah will be there.
Denver,
Denver.
Dallas. Already said Dallas. Portland,
Mm-hmm.
Memphis.
I think Phoenix is going to be significantly better than Memphis.
Then Memphis?
I think a lot better.
I'm not 100% on that.
I think Memphis is going to take a big step back.
I think by the end, what did they? Because they already have Chris Paul on that deal, that original deal that he signed in Houston. I don't know how many years he has left. He might have a year or 2 left.
Got like 2 years left.
I believe Chris Paul gets traded by the trade deadline, and Devin Booker wants out by the end of the season.
Wow. Well, I disagree, but I mean, it remains to be seen what happens. I mean, let's
But this is what's so crazy to me. You guys know how much I love Chris Paul. Like, in terms of point guards, I don't think it's very close. Like, in the league, I don't really care. They just moved. It was great for me to say Phoenix believes in themselves, and that's exactly where it stayed. I don't see you guys as a top 5 seed in the West.
No, definitely not. I think they're the 8th or 7th seed.
I'm clearly not gonna look at this team and say, "Oh my gosh, they're not making the playoffs." If I thought he was gonna carry OKC to the playoffs, my issue with this is I believe that some people are looking at this move as kind of cut and dry. CP3 is here now. He's gonna do what he did in OKC. No, I think you had people there that, for what it's worth, you can say what you want, but Terrence Ferguson, who is now in Philadelphia, he had been to the playoffs with Russell Westbrook. Steven Adams had been to the postseason multiple times. He had been to a Western Conference final. Like, that's not new. Chris is going to have to teach these young men some young men how to be professionals, I'm sure, but Chris is going to have to teach these men how to win.
Look, they're an 8th or 7th seed, and I think honestly, for a lot of I've talked to some Phoenix fans, and like yo, we're cool with that. We haven't made the playoffs in 10 years.
No, I'm sure. I'm absolutely positive you'd be fine with that. Like,
It'll
who
be a
was that
really fun
2 years
first
ago?
round series.
Didn't Brooklyn do that a couple of years ago? With
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell. They made it and didn't care. They were like, shit, if we get a game, great.
Yeah, the Nets hadn't been good in years.
So,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
you know, so
I'm as much as hey man, I don't want to be that guy. Maybe they keep CP and hope for the best and ride it out to the end of the year. I think if you have a Miami team who halfway through the year decides that they want to give you a Tyler Hero,
that's not gonna happen.
okay, bro.
No, but Terrell, this is what I'm saying, man. Like, because I follow a lot of Miami beat writers, guys who are super in depth with the team.
Mm-hmm.
They're not giving up to Tyler Hero for a 36-year-old. They're just not. Like, it's just not gonna happen. Especially the fact that they want to go get Giannis after this season and they need to have cap space. Like, it's just not happening.
All I'm gonna say is a head-up trade, of course not. 1-for-1, of course not. I'm saying I have literally had people tell me to my face, we're rocking with this person, this is the person that we're with, whatever the case may be, and then the very next week they're traded. I've seen it happen.
I'm going to tell you something right now. If they trade 21-year-old Tyler Hero for 36-year-old Chris Paul and they take on that contract, Pat Riley should be fired. And I doubt that's going to... I would actually bet... I don't have money, but if I did, I would bet a lot of money on that not happening.
I mean, like I said, Pat Riley is a genius, but I'm just saying that if there is a team out there who feels like they can package together something for a point guard that can help them win now, getting Phoenix to buy is a whole nother, like, it's a
Tyler
whole nother
Hero
talking point.
would have to significantly disappoint for Miami to do that. And that's possible.
It's 100% possible is all I'm saying. Like,
It's
that's why I don't
possible.
want to be that guy to make it sound like I'm cheering against Tyler Hero. But let's say Tyler Hero comes out and doesn't play and has a sophomore slump. Anything happens. Let's say he has a sophomore slump and you get a Phoenix Suns team that's like, dog, we're still putting him next to Devin Booker. I'll take it. But you do that and I don't know, maybe you, like I said, we can talk about picks and everything else. We can talk about third teams, things of that nature. I'm not 100% that won't happen.
The reason I'm saying
can't
it
happen.
won't is because Miami this offseason, they've basically been screaming to other teams. Like, they've signed all their guys to, like, 1+1s
Mm-hmm.
with team options.
Yep.
They're going all in on Giannis, for better or worse.
Yeah. I mean,
I would, dude, like, I don't... If they trade one of Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo for Chris Paul at 36 years old with that contract, somebody should be fired.
mm.
And I love Pat Riley, but
What if it results in a title this year?
somebody should still be fired.
Long term, or like how does that work? 'Cause like, are you talking like a David Black situation? Like you go to the finals and you still lose your job? Like one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. If you allow that to happen, unless, like I said, unless Tyler Hero has a significant slump, and they're not
What's your
giving up
definition of significant? Like, because my whole thing is, if Tyler comes out, the trade deadline or the All-Star weekend is now March 5th through the 10th.
If Chris Paul was 30,
But I say trade deadline,
I would agree
All-Star
with
weekend.
you. If Chris Paul was 30, I'd be like, you know what? You're right. I'll do
Fam,
it.
I feel you. Did he play last season like a 36-year-old? Like, Father Time is undefeated, and when he signed that deal in Houston, I love Chris Paul, and I was like, toward the end of that career or toward the end of that deal, you guys are gonna regret that. They regretted it before the end of the deal.
Yeah, no, man.
That's a whole other conversation, but I don't even want to get into that. But that's a whole other deal because Chris Paul wasn't the problem. But yeah, I'm gonna go down that rabbit hole if it continues to stay quiet in this room. But Chris Paul was not the problem in Houston. Looking at this trade by Phoenix, they got rid of Kelly Oubre in the trade, which Kelly Oubre miraculously found his way to Golden State. While I would love to talk about how much I love that pickup and how Golden State always seemed, I feel like Golden State, if you go in their war room, I feel like even when it's not draft time, I feel like you can probably go to every position, point guard through center, and they probably have 5 names on that list. And what I mean by that is just 5 names from around the league. Players that they see value in that other teams probably just don't see as much.
if you watch basketball the way that we do, we know that Kelly Oubre is going to be a star in this league. I'm not saying superstar, megastar, LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade, Heatles. We're not saying that.
I think he's going to be very, very good.
He's going to be really good. And it's hard to say in the NFL or in the NBA, but you look at somebody like Kelly Oubre and say, 6'7", 6'8", can jump out the gym, can shoot, can play defense. You could probably play for 15 years. And then he lands in Golden State's lap.
And Golden State's going to make him a lot better, too.
100%.
He's
Do you know?
getting better as a shooter.
Do you know the highlight reel dunks that we're gonna have off of the ball movement and Kelly Oubre cutting?
And I think also Golden State was the best place for James Wiseman.
I said that before the draft. We don't even need to get into. Well, we don't need to get into the draft at this moment. But speaking about that war room, what I anticipate their war room looking like, it sucks that for back-to-back seasons, it seems like they've had to grab one of those names off the list to fill in for Klay. And if you are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, Klay Thompson suffered a lower leg injury is what it was originally told to me. And when it happened, I forgot who told me, but I told them in the moment, I said, was it his Achilles? And I'm not sure whether people didn't know or whether people didn't want to say. Whatever the case was, I'm sitting there thinking and I'm saying, I hope it's not, but part of me believes that this is a DeMarcus Cousins situation. And I said, we have always credited Klay since he was at Washington State. He's a cyborg. Like, we've seen Klay do certain things and be like, okay, how did that not hurt? Like, how does that, what are you going to wake up feeling like? When they told me that Klay Thompson was shooting a basketball 6 months after tearing his ACL, part of me was extremely excited. Part of me also said, I hope Michael Thompson sits him down and says, you still need that year. And
I found out that he got hurt during a pickup game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something else we can, let's hold off on that one, only because that's the same way Boogie went. Going back to that injury, you never believe it in the moment. Like, I told Alex and Caprice when I tore my Achilles, I was kind of laughing about it. I was like, dog, this is January. I will be fine by May. My boot didn't come off in May. Like, and I'm sitting here like I feel a lot better than I did in January. And my doctor is like, you don't get it. You need a minimum of 12 months. I said all of that to say, how much do we believe, we're not blaming him for it. How much do we believe that Klay Thompson pushed himself to the brink?
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely. I did see that he's expected to make a full recovery, so that's good. It's good.
Blessings.
News.
But that's 2 full seasons.
And he's not young anymore. He's going to be, let's see, he's 30 now. So by the next time he plays, he's going to be 31, which isn't that old.
Not old at all. But for instance, they say that in your prime, you get what, 3 years in your prime? 3 years in your prime, I think? And it starts at 28 or 29, depending on who the person is?
It depends if you're LeBron James or everybody else.
No, honestly, yeah, facts. Bron's prime started at 14 and he's still in it.
Like, LeBron is like 14 to 46 probably.
Like, even Kobe had a normal prime. Like, Bron's prime is like your Optimus prime. But in all seriousness, like, Klay, as much as I want to say that he did everything the right way, I do think part of me believes that Klay Thompson wanted to be one of those stories. Like Adrian Peterson. When he came back, 6 months after his ACL tear, everybody was like, no way. He is probably the one person that I've ever seen come back from a catastrophic injury like that as quickly as he did and didn't suffer another one. And we can have another conversation about Adrian Peterson because that's why he's in that top 10 probably running backs of all time.
Oh yeah, I'd say he's top 5 all time just because.
And that's where we argue. That's where me and my dad argues all the time because LT gets that spot for me, not AP.
Wow, this is talk for another day.
You still disagree with this? Bro, okay, fam, this is going to be the last time I'm going to say this. There's highlights of both of them running touchdowns, right? There's highlights of both of them catching touchdowns. Mm-hmm. There's only highlights of one of them throwing touchdowns. Bro, don't talk to me. LT is the best, bro. Anyway, LT is one of the greatest running backs we've ever. LT is one of the best
LT's
football
awesome.
players.
I
we've
wasn't
ever
really
seen.
talking about LT. Adrian Peterson. You're not going to tell me more than 5 running backs all time are better than him. That's all I'm saying. But
And I still might.
that's a topic for another day. We can go.
Is Barry Sanders better than him? Wow. Is Emmitt Smith better than him?
No. That I disagree. I don't think Emmitt Smith is better than him.
Is Walter Payton better than Adrian Peterson?
Walter Payton, no disrespect.
Fam. All right. Get Clay
Don't-
Thompson.
listen,
Clay Thompson.
Don't talk about
Clay Thompson.
When we talk about
Clay
guys
Thompson.
now.
No, because you got me defending a lion and a bear in here.
Yeah, don't. Let's
Relax, fam. Nah, we're not doing that. Now we're moving on. Oh, wow. Who is your top 5 running backs?
Titans win, baby. I'd have to go down, but there's not 5.
Damn it.
better than Titans win.
And it
Derrick
would be
Henry.
Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry.
So let's go to these scores really quick. Let's go to these scores, and then we can hopefully wrap up the Clay Thompson conversation. So, looking at these football scores from this morning, and then we can give you guys an update on. No, go to all the scores.
No, they're okay.
Yeah, and then see what we got. So, Celine already just said it, but Tennessee did just win in overtime, 30-24 over Baltimore. Where are we at? Okay, there we go. So the rest of the scores that went final from earlier today, Carolina did come away with the blowout victory, a shutout win over Detroit, 20-0. The Texans did hold on in Houston, 27-20 over Carolina. Or excuse me, I said Carolina. That's that Cam Newton. 27-20 over New England. Baltimore, we just mentioned, lost in overtime, 30-24 to Tennessee. Tennessee improves to 7-3 on the year. Pittsburgh, 10-0. 10-0. Taylor, I know that you're out there. Taekwon, I know you're out there. Do not hit my phone after this show. Please don't. 27-3 over Jacksonville. 20-9 in Washington.
Bathroom Ben played very well.
20-9 over here in Washington. The Washington football team secured their 3rd win of the year. Well, of course, we're waiting to hear more about Joe Burrow and what's going on with his leg injury. And then lastly from this morning, or actually I got 2 more from this morning. New Orleans have a 24-9 win over divisional rival Atlanta, and that's in New Orleans. And then lastly, Philadelphia and Carson Wentz did their best come from behind impersonation, but it was stopped just short as the Browns improved to, what is that, I believe 7-3 as well, maybe 6-3. But they're with a 22-17 win over Philadelphia. These 1 o'clock games have started. Matter of fact, let me see. I do want to get into the draft, lastly. But can you go ahead and pull up the scores from 1 o'clock games, from the 1 o'clock games?
Yeah.
Or matter of fact, I have them up right here. So with 11:36 to go in the first quarter, the Dolphins and the Broncos are still scoreless. But the Dolphins do have the ball at the Broncos 4-yard line. We mentioned the Jets earlier, and this game is just – I'm not the most excited about this game, but it is what it is. The Jets are in L.A. against the Chargers. 7:53 to go in that first quarter, and the Jets do have a 6-0 lead over the Chargers. And am I missing one? Don't we have another 1 o'clock game? 1:25 probably.
Yeah,
We have 2 1 o'clock
Cowboys and
games.
Vikings.
And then it's us. And then it's us and the Colts. So Green Bay and the Colts will be kicking off along with the Vikings and the Dallas Cowboys at 1:25. That's about 5 minutes from now. So we have a little under, we're probably not going to go into the full 2 o'clock today, but we have a little bit under, I want to say 30 minutes or so, what we can try to wrap this up with. I want to talk the draft. I do. I want to talk, we can wrap up the Klay Thompson conversation if you guys want to. What is Golden State's next steps? If I can somewhat pick and prod into you guys' brain a little bit. I think Kelly Oubre is somebody who they would want around for the whole thing. I'm not sure Andrew Wiggins is.
You know, actually, contrary to maybe popular belief that people might have about me, I don't like blaming players for a lot of stuff unless they do something crazy off the court or off the field.
Right.
Andrew Wiggins deserves the slander he gets.
On the court?
Yes. He deserves every single bit of it. I'm sorry, and shout out to him because Minnesota was like, hey, are you going to improve? He's like, yeah, I promise. Then he got $158 million. He's like, psych.
Hey, this is what I will say before. Andrew Wiggins can play
But what I've always have said is Jimmy Butler challenged Andrew Wiggins. He challenged Cat and was like, "We need you guys to be better. You suck, whatever the case may be. Jimmy's gonna Jimmy."
And not one lie was told.
He said the exact same thing to T.J. Warren. And I don't know if I tweeted it, but I definitely said it on some platform. T.J. Warren reacted or responded better to being called trash than Andrew Wiggins did. And that's all Jimmy wanted. Jimmy called a teammate trash so he could play like that. And he called an opponent trash and got the result. So I thought that was funny. And by the way, we could talk about that too, because T.J. Warren balled until he saw Jimmy Butler. And then I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know what happened. And I've always said this. It's really, really a difficult position to be doing things like this and say that another person is scared of another person. All we do have the opportunity and chance to say is that we can tell the story and we can detail what happened. T.J. Warren was a completely different man until Jimmy Butler stood in front of him, and that's a fact. Take from that what you
Bubble
will.
TJ.
No, unquestionably. Well, as a Packer fan, that was nuts. As a Pacer fan, that was nuts. But really quick before we get into the draft, I do want to talk about some other trades really quick. Dennis Schroeder to LA, to the Lakers.
I like that move.
The rich get richer. Like, it was similar to Le'Veon Bell going to the Chiefs. Dog, what do you want me to say? Yeah. I love the way Alex is just sitting here in the middle.
Yep.
Just, yep. I mean,
Let's get Alex's thoughts. I feel like we've talked too much.
I dare her to say something about Philadelphia.
I'm not.
She said no. I'm not.
What's up with this promoted content?
I was
All
thinking
right.
that same thing.
See, this is not working. Oh, that promoted content? Oh, I have no clue. Whatever. This is what happens when you stream games. But Dennis Schroeder going to LA is obviously a big move for the Lakers. The Lakers seeming like they're gearing up for a repeat already. They go out and sign Wesley Matthews, somebody who I was saying last year, or what was it, 2 years ago when the Pacers got him, that he's going to be a part of a championship team. He went to Milwaukee last year, played a big role. I'm pretty sure he's going to do the same thing for the Lakers. I do think everybody should be aware, though, when you go to the Lakers when you go anywhere LeBron is, it's LeBron and Anthony Davis.
Right.
Like, everybody else is going to fill the role for that. You know what I mean? Whatever that may be. So Rondo would get chewed out for whatever the case may be. Dennis Schroeder, now that's you.
Yeah.
Dwight would get chewed out for whatever the case may be. Montrezl Harrell, now that's you. So it doesn't, I just hope, and Montrezl Harrell doesn't seem like one of those people to me. Dennis Schroeder really doesn't either. But being in LA is different. Like, you can do no wrong pretty much if you're Bron and AD. Anything else that goes wrong, we're going to find somebody else to blame. So
Correct.
that's kind of where Kentavious Caldwell-Pope went from being, why is he on the court, to we don't win this championship this year without him. Now Danny Green is gone.
Shout out to Lethal Shooter.
No question.
You know who Lethal
You
Shooter?
did. You already know I do.
Alex, you know Lethal Shooter? Follow him on
Instagram.
He's unreal, just crazy.
Unreal. But if you look at somebody like Danny Green, now they did what they did to him and he's gone. Wesley Matthews, that is now you. I just hope that they understand that. That's it. That's the only thing I hope. As long as you guys understand that you aren't going to walk in as the 6 man of the year Trez. As weird as it may sound, in any of these other 29 locker rooms you are. Not in this one.
It's so crazy to me they got Trez.
It's insane. Like the Lakers right now, we shouldn't even watch basketball next year. It's kind of pointless. It's
And
a
also,
little
I want to
pointless.
say this. I've never seen, maybe I have to think about it. I've never seen one playoff series hurt a player's value more than what Trez did against Denver.
I don't think I heard his value.
I think it did significantly.
If that's the case, it didn't hurt Trez's value. It hurt the Clippers.
Trez got, 2 years, $19 million?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if that series hadn't happened, if we just erased that series, that man is getting 4 years, 60 plus.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think that Trez took the best deal, or do you think Trez took the opportunity to win?
I agree there.
I promise you Dallas wanted him. I promise you Dallas wanted him.
That being said, while I do think he took less, I don't think he would take a lot less.
Why? And that's where I disagree because I don't
He's still young. I mean,
not to put our business out there, but there's a reason why LeBron James signs 2 years plus 1. There's a reason. Like, you know, or three plus 1.
Trez hasn't had that big contract yet to where he's in a position where he could turn down way more money. I think he turned down some.
But this is my point. This is my whole point. Because he hasn't won, this 2-year deal, let's say they win this year, whether he's the focal point of it or not, I'm hitting the market as a champion.
That's fair.
That hits differently. You want to know who else got paid after that? JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee got a couple of contracts after that if he wasn't on that Golden State roster when they won titles, whether he was a part of it, whether he was the reason or not, quote unquote, JaVale got paid for that. The Lakers took a chance on him, and what did he do? He got another one.
I'll say that
Trez bet on himself, man.
Trez took less.
I'm betting with Trez.
Trez took less.
He 100% could have got a bigger deal from somewhere else, is all I'm going to say.
But all I'm going to say is that he didn't take a lot less.
That's where I disagree. I'll put it this way. I feel like when it comes to him signing in LA, it would have been different if he signed in Portland, for instance. You sign in Portland, we need you to be the 6th man of the year. You come to LA, unfortunately, dog, we got Kuzma, who we may think may be a star one day, whether or not you believe it. I'm telling you what you can tell, Trez. You're not even the only 6th man of the year. Like, we got Dennis Schroeder who could compete for the 6th man of the year every single year. You may come here and be a regular role player. So that 2-year, $19 million makes sense. If you go to Dallas, you're our 6th man. So now I'm walking in, dragging my nuts a little more. Like, now I'm walking in 2 years, $35 million. For me to talk to you guys. But for the Lakers who just won a title, yeah, I'll back off that $15, $16 million real quick. But also, I'm not giving you guys 3-4 years of my services. I'm giving you guys 2. And at the end of the day, Trez really did that smart because in 2 years, who else is a free agent?
I got to look at the list.
His name is LeBron.
You know, normally for most players, I'd say 38, 39 would be. But for LeBron, you know, he could still 39 might be like, you know, the tail end of his prime, but he's still going to put up like 23.
So Trez made it a point to where his deal is up when Bron's is.
Look, good for him. He bet on himself. My whole point is that I think he took less. I just don't think he took significantly
less.
Because if he did, I mean.
Like I said, I feel like it's about situation. It's about situation. Like I said, I think a team like Dallas would have loved to have. A team like Dallas went and got Willie Cauley-Stein. Or kept Willie Cauley-Stein.
I like that move.
Willie Cauley-Stein is a really good player.
And last season, he was one of the best defenders in the league.
Win motivated. Let's also do that. I've watched I think Willie Cauley-Stein is a great player. And this sounds crazy to say because we haven't seen greatness from him. I think Willie Cauley-Stein is a great player. You know what I think doomed him? Touching Sacramento. And it sounds weird to say. I think just the simple fact of him being in Sacramento made him not like basketball. It sounds crazy to say, but I think that you can see when a person just loses interest in it. And I think De'Aaron Fox is trying not to lose interest, which is why we'll hear a trade request from him by the end of the year.
I was listening to Brian Windhorst, and I think it was Windhorst, and he said on the podcast, he said, like, because people were like, how did these guys fall? Like, Halliburton, how did these guys, or certain players fall out of the top 10? Apparently, like, these guys, their agents were straight up like, don't draft my player. We do not want my player to go to this franchise. You are not going to ruin his career. Like,
that needs to be said more.
From what I heard, just from, like, listening to Windhorst and some other guys, pretty much some teams told the Knicks, like, don't draft my guy.
I believe it.
And I don't blame them.
I believe it. Because at the end of the day, like, I hate to say it, but you still got to sign that rookie deal afterwards. So you may mess around and draft me 4th overall, and I'm not signing. So you can do what you want. You can waste your pick if you want to. I'm not signing, fam.
Just like, you know, I don't. If Trevor Lawrence goes to the Jets,
I think he goes back to college. Like I think if the Jets are landed in the first spot, I think he goes back to college.
Either that, or he tells him, "Look, I want Adam Gase fired, like in the next 2 minutes."
Even then, unless he's Kyler, Cliff Kingsbury, like unless you're bringing Dabo with you, it's like I don't really know what he's gonna do. Because you don't know anybody else at the NFL level unless you went to a quarterback camp as a kid.
Because even if Trevor Lawrence does get hurt, he's so good to where the fact that, like, he's still going to get drafted fairly high the next year.
He could not play anymore this season and probably still go top 5.
Like, I wouldn't go to the Jets. I'll tell you that much right now.
Anyway, all I'm going to say is that Trevor Lawrence will probably look good in Jacksonville green is all I'm going to say. But I mean, Minshew Mania isn't a bad quarterback either. But I mean, whatever. We'll see what happens there. I did want to talk about that really quick. We're gonna get into the draft now. I do think it's just some other things to keep track of. I do think it's interesting to see what happens with Kevin Love going forward, because I think people forgot that Kevin Love knows how to play basketball. And the last thing is Houston. Houston may go from a top 3, top 4 team to completely imploding. So I'm waiting to see what happens there. I have a little bit more confidence in Tillman Fertitta than to believe that his team is going to tank that bad. Like, they're just going to fall off the face of.
I like the Christian Wood move.
100%, 3 years.
I wrote actually. I used to write all the time about Christian Wood.
Yeah, in the what's it called, the NBA Roundup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
shout out to Christian Wood. Shout out to C Wood.
It's pretty awesome. Like when I first wrote about him, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I could be honest. The radio show. When Rick wanted me to like write about UNLV basketball players, like in my head, I'm like, bro, there's just not much to write about.
No, you're not.
Like,
you're being honest, but it's like, what do they want us to do? Like I'm never gonna tell you to come on here and be phony. So it's the truth.
Like, look,
at the time when he said it,
Kem
it wasn't
Birch,
nothing besides Kem Birch.
Shout out to Kem Birch, but you know, there's just not a lot you can write when he's playing like 10 minutes a game.
Well, not only that, the most that you had to write about was Patty McCaw because he was winning rings, but he wasn't playing.
Right.
So when Christian Wood actually
So what do you want us to do?
Became like a good player and started getting more minutes, I was hyped. I was like, finally, I can write about this guy.
And it's funny because Christian is like, me and Christian, we talked at Summer League. And I went up to him after like one of his big, I think maybe his first big game. And I looked at him and my eyes was big and his eyes got big and he looked at me and I was like, fam. And he was like, I don't know. I was like, you might have found something.
Every week where he got better, because I
Every
did
week.
this weekly roundup, and I'm just like, I can actually write about a player that's.
Ooh, is that a pick? Oh.
Damn.
2 almost threw a pick. But let's go ahead and get into this draft right now, of course. We're going to get out of here in less than 30 minutes. You guys are listening to Talk That Talk, soon to be brought to you by, our proud partners over there at the Westgate. You did.
Let's go.
Where are we at? Let's talk top 3. Everybody knew what the top 3 was going to be coming in.
Oh, you don't want to talk?
Everybody knew what the top 3 was going to be coming in. People didn't know the order that it was going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think the decision for Minnesota was good. I like that decision. Just because, LaMelo, I think, is probably going to end up being the best player. That's just my opinion.
Of 3 or in the draft?
In the draft.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Okay.
But Minnesota and Golden State got to look at it like this guy is, he needs to be on ball. Like, this is his, at least right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not going to happen in Golden State. I mean, for the most part, Steph is going to be handling the ball.
Absolutely.
And although I think D'Angelo should be more of a 2-guard, more of a combo guard, and I think that's why they got Ricky Rubio.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely.
He's D'Angelo Russell. Sorry to cut you off. He signed to Wade for a reason. I think he's similar to Dwayne Wade in that regard. He's a better passer than Dwayne Wade, but Dwayne Wade is a 2-guard who always had the ball in his hand. That's it. That's the only point I was going to make. So
look, after watching Dwayne Wade's entire career and watching D'Angelo Russell, D'Angelo, and I'm saying this purely objective, is nowhere in the same stratosphere as a passer as Dwayne Wade. Not even in the same division. However, D'Angelo will fit well next to Ricky Rubio.
You said as a passer?
As a passer, yeah. Dwayne Wade was a great passer.
D'Angelo Russell was nowhere near.
Not even in the same stratosphere. You could run as a passer. You could run with D Wade 50 pick and rolls a game. D'Angelo Russell, you do not want him running 50 to 60 pick and rolls a game.
Yes, I do.
Not if you like winning basketball games.
Are you serious?
I'm 100%. No disrespect to D'Angelo Russell, but he's not even in the same league.
We're talking about passing.
I understand that.
And that's why I'm because as players, of course,
Maybe,
Dwayne Wade is next level, but as a passer?
I don't know. Well, that's the thing. I don't know how much prime D Wade you watched.
A lot.
Then I don't know what to tell you.
For passer?
For passing, yeah.
I don't know, bro.
It's not close. I can tell you that. As watching both, it's not even remotely close. Not same stratosphere. I don't want D'Angelo Russell. And neither did Minnesota. That's why they got Ricky Rubio. You don't pay Ricky Rubio 14, 15 million a year to play like 26 minutes a game.
Okay. All right. See, and now I really don't want to like just get too deep into it, because that's the hell you do.
He's going to be their starting point guard.
Still playing 26 minutes a game. You're missing my point. You can start whoever you want. JaVale McGee started for Golden State and played 11 minutes a game. Starting doesn't matter. Manu Ginobili came off the bench behind Danny Green, who played 14 minutes and played 36.
D'Angelo Russell, if he's handling the ball full time
For Minnesota,
50,
they're going to be
60.
okay. A pick and roll with Cat and D'Angelo Russell.
Ricky Rubio's pick and roll with Cat would be 10 times better.
Are you more afraid of D'Angelo Russell or Ricky Rubio offensively in a pick and roll?
Offensively? I'm more worried about Ricky.
That is crazy. Let's move on. Anthony
He's
Edwards.
a 10 times better passer.
But Cat is your only finisher, is my point.
Ricky's
what I'm saying is-
solid.
So what I'm saying is, off the pick and roll.
D'Angelo Russell's cool, man.
I'll put it this way. No, based
He's
on what you just
a volume
said,
shooter.
based on what we're talking about passing. That's all I'm talking about.
Oh, passing, it's not close. It's Ricky. Ricky's the best, or no.
I'm talking about pick and rolls, though. When you talk about Ricky Rubio and Cat's pick and roll, you said you would fear that more than D'Angelo Russell's in that one. I'm telling you right now, the reason why I disagree with you is because Ricky Rubio, he's a great player. He can play still. He can still shoot the ball. He can still get to the cup. All of these different things. When Cat sets the pick for Ricky Rubio, 85% of the time, what is Ricky looking to do? Dump the ball off. So it's easier to defend if I know 85 times out of 100, you're going to dump the ball off to your all-star big man, as opposed to D'Angelo Russell. If I take one step back off a pick and roll, you're shooting the Jimmy. Like, that's a problem for me. Not to mention, if I overplay and I go over the screen, you're blowing by me. Not only the fact that if you blow by me, you can get to the cup and make your own layup, but you could also throw the dime. It's different.
You're also not getting the fact that D'Angelo is a volume. Like, he's going to get your.
You're missing my point. You're talking about him shooting. I'm talking about the dynamic. I have to worry about more with the ball in D'Angelo Russell's hands as a defender.
That's cool, and that's good. But we shouldn't say the fact that D'Angelo Russell, just because he can, there's a reason why Cat loved playing with Ricky Rubio and why that's.
For sure.
Look.
But he also hold on. But he also played with Ricky Rubio and still vouched for D'Angelo Russell after the fact.
Because they're friends.
It's not like he played. But my point is, it's not like he saw D'Angelo Russell play. There's a lot of players in the league that are friends that will tell you they don't want to play together.
Yeah, I mean, look at Russell and James right now.
And my point is that Russell Westbrook will tell you, I'm friends with you, but we do not need to play together.
You seem to be a lot higher on D'Angelo than I am, and that's cool. I'm not high on him at all. He's going to get you your 23 points. He's going to shoot 20 times to get it. You know, he's going to get you your 6 assists.
When you talk about prime D Wade as well, like, you got to keep in mind too, Dwayne Wade came into a league and he was on a team. I shouldn't say came into, but he was when he won his first championship. You're surrounded by veteran presences like Gary Payton, Jason Williams, James Posey, Antoine Walker. You got Shaq, you got Zoe. Has D'Angelo Russell ever had any of that?
Okay.
He had a half season of that in Golden State, and that was possibly his best stretch.
For 2.5 years, the second best player on the Miami Heat, and no disrespect because I love this man, was Udonis Haslem.
No question.
And D Wade was putting up 8 assists a game.
No question. You're missing my point. You're missing my point again. It has nothing to do with Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade as a player, Dwayne Wade is top 3 shooting guards of all time.
Oh yeah, I agree.
So my issue isn't the fact of like who was second best. You surrounded him with veteran presences. So what I'm saying is, when you talk about somebody like D'Angelo Russell needing 20 shots to get you 23 points, my second best player is fucking Garrett Temple.
I'm not high on D'Angelo at all.
So yeah, like you got me and Spencer Dinwiddie not playing with each other. So when I'm in this game, it's me, Taurean Prince, Karis LeVert, who's still learning himself at the time. I'm the one with the most experience. Bro, you damn right I'm chucking this.
Yeah, but even Minnesota was the same thing. His efficiency wasn't great.
I mean, what did Minnesota have when they finally got to him? Jared Cover, no offense to Jared Cover, we're gonna get now. Let's get back to the draft. Let's get back to
the draft because I'm not high on D'Angelo.
Because we're talking about Minnesota. Jared Cover.
Anyway, I like D'Anthony.
Wait, that's what I'm talking about right now. Jared Cover was drafted last year. We're talking about Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Cover was drafted last year. No offense to Jared Cover, but when he went that high in the draft, didn't I look at you guys and say, why? I said maybe it's the Final Four run, but I don't see it.
Yeah, he's.
Why do you go and draft somebody the very next year in his position? Because you clearly see somebody that you believe is better coming out, right? So it just now, if I wanted to go back to my D'Angelo Russell point,
And they signed Malik Beasley to a
4 years, $60 million.
And I like that deal because I like Malik Beasley a lot.
I like Malik Beasley a lot. Is Malik Beasley $60 million worth?
$15 million a year.
You're worth whatever somebody pays you, so shout out to him.
He's 23, so I'd like to see where he improves.
So you put the money into him. You drafted Jared Culver last year. You got Anthony Edwards this year. You let go of Andrew Wiggins. You go and get Ricky Rubio. What's Minnesota's plan? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. I'm going to give you a little bit more time.
Yeah, because that pissed me off.
Don't worry about it. It just doesn't make sense.
They're going to be a really fun team, especially in fast break.
How many wins does that result in?
How many wins? It was 72 game. I have to hold on. I have my calculator. In an 82 game season, let's say, I think they're like a 43 win team.
More than half.
43 and 39, maybe 41 and 41, 42 and 40.
I think.
Because they're still. Here's the thing with Minnesota, they're still really not terrible, but they're not good defensively.
That's my point.
Like they're
D'Angelo Russell's not going to help with that.
No, and
I will give you that.
And Cat, I mean,
he will do it when he's
not a bad defender.
But he also can't be your number one.
No, if he's your
Wait,
best,
hold on.
If he's your best big man defender, you got problems.
No, not even that. I think maybe you're right. But my only thing with that argument is because Cat is the way that he is offensively, how much of it is the James Harden? I'm going to play defense sometimes because you want me to play offense all the time.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, he's definitely improved
For sure.
as a defender. I mean, that.
Well, wait, hold on. Let's go back to that really quick. Has he improved, or does it go back to what we both just said?
Trying more?
No, not even trying more. He tries in moments. Like the moments where he tries, you see him. He's a good defender. Cat can play defense. When he was at Kentucky, they had an offensive scheme where everybody ate. Cat couldn't wait to be the anchor down low. Just not that block shots have to be the result. Like, I remember somebody told Earl Thomas when he was in Baltimore, somebody was like, "What's up, E? I ain't heard your name all game." Earl looked at him and was like, "Bro, I play safety. That's a good thing." They're not throwing my way.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's.
So I believe Cat, when he's motivated, he plays defense. But again, like I said, if he has that James Harden, you want me to play offense all of the time, but therefore I'm playing defense some of the time. That's why I think that D'Angelo Russell helps you.
Yeah, D'Angelo will definitely take some of the pressure off Cat offensively. I mean,
We'll see how Anthony Edwards literally fits into this because based on what it seems like they're doing, if you have D'Angelo Russell and a Cat that can run the pick and roll, and you have the ability to pick and pop with both of them too, because Cat can run the pick and roll as the ball handler too. I don't know if people know that, but like
Josh Okogie's a great defender. They got him.
Josh Okogie. So you got your wing defender with Josh Okogie. Maybe Jared Culver also turns into your wing defender, and maybe Anthony Edwards, your number 1 overall draft pick, turns into your wing scorer possibly. So we'll see what happens down there. The number 2 overall pick down to Golden State.
Love that pick.
This is the person who I believe should have went number 1 overall, but clearly it's not going to go number 1 overall if Cat's there in Minnesota. But it's James Wiseman. A 7'1", was it 250, 260 center.
It's a big boy right there.
For 100%. So I love the fact that because when I was telling everybody that I thought he might be the best player in the draft, a lot of people were telling me, were asking me, so he's going to be like, what's his stat line going to look like? And I was telling a lot of people, he's going to come into the league and make a lot of his bones the first couple of years blocking shots and running the floor. Like, he's just going to be somebody that you're like, this is a center, he's 19, he's 20, or whatever the case may be, and that's going to build him up into an all-star later on down the line.
Oh yeah, but like you said, like this first and second year, he's still going to be really solid for them.
And this is where you just kind of touched on the point that I was getting to next. You said he's going to be really solid for them. I said that before the draft order was out. I was like, wherever he goes, he's just going to block shots and run the floor.
Yeah.
And now you plug him in Golden State?
I think that's the perfect fit. Especially, even though Draymond isn't in his prime anymore,
Right.
he's still solid. I think he's going to care more now. Now that Steph is back. Because last season, that man did not care at all. I don't blame him.
I'm not going to say I don't blame him. Like, I care. Y'all know how I am. Like, if we play badminton, bro, I'm intense as hell.
Well,
I'm intense, bro. So it's hard to say Draymond didn't care. What I will say is Draymond was probably out there like, I don't got to listen to nobody. Like, if Kerr ain't calling something from the sideline, I ain't listening to you, fam. Jordan Poole, you want this ball? Go get it.
man, that Warriors team last year was something.
I mean, it was just. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't take that to heart. A 1,000,000%, only because they won so much, so in such a short span of time. It was interesting to see them have fun.
Yeah.
Like,
absolutely.
just Steph, even on the sideline with not being in uniform, Steph smiled a lot more last year. It was just a lot of, we're not in the news, we don't have the pressure, we just don't have to worry about that. And then lastly, when we talk about the top three, we got to go to the person who you believe is going to be the best person,
I love them.
the best player,
I
best
love
person
them
in this
all.
draft. Let me go ahead and give out my what's it called right now. Let me go ahead and cop my pleas right now. I said in high school that with the way that LaMelo cherry picked, he wasn't going to the league. I don't know if I'm copping pleas because of what I said then, but he switched it. He no longer cherry picks the way that he did. So he's still not the best defender. He's really, really long as a defender, so I think that's where he gets a lot of his steals and pass deflections, things like that. I do think we'll see if he stays motivated enough on the defensive end to be what Charlotte needs on both ends. But again, that kind of remains to be seen. But the thing I want to cop pleas about really quick, I went a stretch when my radio show was at Cerritos because similar to 45, anybody who was just doing certain things I felt like to be mentioned in the news cycle, we have a responsibility as people who deliver the news to know the difference when people are doing stuff to be mentioned. And I felt like LeVar Ball did a lot to be mentioned. I stand by that. A lot of stuff that he did say was to be seen and heard.
Yeah.
But what I do not want it to look like, and I'm going to get to this, and I'm going to try to get in and out of this, and Salim can take over. What I don't want this to look like is me saying nothing but negative stuff about a black father. And if anybody knows me, you guys know my parents are my best friends, but me and my dad are, like, extremely close, like, beyond close. And maybe that's just me with being a guy. Like, there's clearly some things I'm just not telling my mom. It's just, I don't know. I don't want her to view me away. But me and my dad, clearly, we tell each other everything. So to see LeVar Ball be that involved in his boys' lives.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for him to make those outlandish statements sometimes, but for a lot of them to be true. There's something to be said about that. So I just want to give LeVar Ball more flowers. Congratulations on continuing to be right. You are wrong about some stuff, a lot of it, but I mean, it's a good thing to see a black father be active, even though all the communication and the commentary about it is so negative. I don't want to be that guy that contributes to that. Salim is no longer talking because the Dolphins are on. Come back to us. We're out of here in 10 minutes. Come back to us.
I love the LaMelo pick for them because Charlotte needed star power.
They need something.
They need you can make an argument that certain guys, would be very good for them and solid, but they need star power, man.
Right.
Like, they need something to they're going to be on TV a lot this year. I think that's really good for them. LaMelo, anybody who watches his tape, whether in Australia or Lithuania, his passing ability, is... I can't even think of the adjective for it, especially he's 6'7".
That's his best
6'7",
attribute,
6'8".
for sure.
He can shoot. The reason why his percentage is low is because a lot of times he kind of just takes dumb shots.
High school shots, too.
Which is going to be corrected, I'm fairly certain, in the NBA. he's gonna hold his form better. That's what he gets lazy with his form. Because if you watch him, he has a good form when he actually focuses, and then like sometimes he'll just take like he'll rush his shot, but he's still. I love the pick. He's gonna be a solid defender just because of he's already long. He has good instincts.
See, and I don't want to be this guy because I do think he's going to be okay. I do think he's going to be okay in the league. But when you say he's going to be a good defender because he's 6'7" as a point guard, true. You don't see too many 6'7" point guards. However, Klay Thompson is 6'7" and he guards point guards. DeJounte Murray is 6'5" and he's a true point guard. So LaMelo, his entire time, I will say, even though he was 16 going overseas, you were still dealing with men that were smaller than you.
I think he's gonna guard ones and twos.
You know what's interesting? Have you ever seen Lonzo in person? You seen him at Summer League, didn't you?
I don't think I've seen him in person.
Lonzo. Okay, so I seen Lonzo. I don't think it was his rookie year. Maybe it was his second year. Might have been his rookie year. And Lonzo was like fresh out of college. You could tell a college basketball player. I seen Lonzo, I believe, last Summer League, and he was with LaMelo. And ironically enough, I looked at him and was like, LaMelo looks the way Lonzo did when he got to the league. The first time that he plays Lonzo, it's going to be a problem.
I will say, though, LaMelo is putting a lot of muscle on. Like you can tell he's definitely...
Oh, for sure. I mean, well, you have to. Once you get to this level, you have no choice. I'm just saying you're going to run into point... I mentioned his brother. I mentioned DeJounte Murray. Like, I'm mentioning certain point guards that are just big body point guards.
Oh yeah.
Like, what happens when you run into a James Harden, who is listed as your starting point guard, but weigh 225 and it feel like it's 250. Like the first time he Euro steps on LaMelo, if he gets contact, LaMelo's going into that stanchion.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. And very few rookie point guards are good their rookie year. And you can go down the list. There's few.
It's an interesting take.
Because I've gone down I've done this before. Because I think
I can tell you have. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, damn.
Because Zach Lowe.
What about Kemba?
I love Kemba. He shot like 36% from the field his rookie year. That wasn't necessarily his fault because he was on one of the worst teams ever.
Right. Yeah.
But Zach Lowe said that, and I started thinking about it. I was like, there's not many point guards who are like legitimately really good their first year.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys who are solid and maybe not bad, but like a guy like Ja Morant, like that season. Like
what about John Wall?
John Wall wasn't. He
wasn't bad his rookie year.
He wasn't bad, but
John Wall came into the league not as a shooter, so I don't know about that.
He was still a bad shooter. He turned the ball over a lot. You saw the potential though. You saw that he's going to be a star.
Just in what you just mentioned, I went through like 10, 12 years in my head, and the only two point guards that came to mind was Kemba and John Wall. So clearly there's some level of validity to what you're saying.
Because Zach Lowe said it, and I was like, no, that's not. And then I started going down the list. Because I was listening to this in the car, and I went home. I'm like, no,
he's wrong.
And then even Derrick Rose, his rookie year, like he had that great series against Boston, and we remember that. But like, yeah, he scored 17 points a game, but that man took like 16 shots.
Yeah.
Which. And no disrespect, but like that, he wasn't what he was. So we have to. I kind of look at it like our expectations for rookie point guards should be a little bit less high because it's a very hard position to play.
And it goes back to what we say all the time: the ball is in their hands. So I mean, it's only so much you can actually. You have to let them grow with their mistakes. Like
that's why Ja Morant last season, his season was so much more impressive than like just.
Yeah.
That man had like 17, 8, and like 4 as a rookie, shooting good percentages, not turning the ball over that much. That is not common.
Now that I think about it, let's look at Ja. Ja's number is probably one of the ones that's up
there.
Yeah,
Ja's one of the few, it just doesn't happen very often. Russell Westbrook's a Hall of Famer. He was not good his rookie year, at least offensively.
For sure.
Although he was good on defense right away, which is something that is...
That's that road runner speed. Like, as long as he has that road runner speed and he can play the passing lanes, Russell Westbrook will be that way until the day he retires. Let's go to the scores really quick and let's get us out of here.
Yeah.
So we are in. Oh, beautiful. So we are actually wrapping up week, or at least our week 11 broadcast here. We have two games from 1 o'clock that are actually in the second quarter. The Dolphins and the Broncos are tied at 7.
That second quarter technically just got started about a minute and a half ago. With 11:35 left in the first half, the Chargers have a 14-6 lead over the winless Jets. If the Jets do lose, they will drop to 0-10 on the season. My Packers are tied with the Colts in Indianapolis, with the Colts just receiving a punt. So now they will take over from their own 40-yard line with a little under 4 minutes to go. And then lastly, we have the Dallas Cowboys, the 2-7 Dallas Cowboys on the road in Minnesota, on the road in Minnesota against the Vikings. They are down 7-6 to Minnesota, led by Kirk Cousins. We're actually gonna get out of here now. Like I said before, I don't know if I'm recording a pod today. I'll see if that deal is still on the table. We shall see. But as we always tell you guys, we appreciate you guys for rocking with us. We know it has been a journey nonetheless, but we appreciate you guys rolling with the punches with us. Again, this is our first time doing Facebook Live. We're gonna actually try to solidify this and try to make something more permanent come from this. But again, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We thank you guys for supporting us. And until next week, keep on talking.